Hello and welcome to the Claret Blue podcast, sponsored by NordVPN. If you want the best discount code available, there's a link in the description down below. I'm your host for this one, Dan Rolinson, joined by Stephen Kountourou to talk about Olympiacos. I agreed to do this last week before the first leg, and I thought Villa will probably win at Villa Park and we can get Stephen on again and kind of have a little, way we won, didn't we? It all went wrong, didn't it?
Yeah, now you've got me to say, we won, didn't we?
I know. Unbelievable. Never doing a two-legged match preview ever again because now I've got to live up to this. What went wrong for Villa and what went right for Olympiacos in that first leg, do you think?
Both teams had equal amount of chances to put themselves in a winning position going into the second leg. And I think it just came down to Olympiacos took their chances and Aston Villa didn't. You know, the penalty being the big one for you guys with Douglas Luiz missing that huge miss. Yeah. And, certain refereeing decisions, how kind of correct some people might say they were or weren't, went against Villa at times. And we had some that went in our favour. When in the past, I can tell you a million decisions Olympiacos have had not in favour of us that have kind of cost us in Europe. There's so many. And fans kind of feel like this was the one time we finally had it our way for once.
Was that something you were expecting? I know we spoke before the game and I thought there was no real kind of scenario in my head that didn't see a Villa win. Obviously that comes across very cocky and arrogant after the fact, but, we were the favourites beforehand. We were at home. Villa winning there wouldn't have been a shock. Did you ever expect anything like what we saw though?
No. In all honesty, no. Like I could so easily just say, "Oh yeah, I had a feeling," but I really didn't. And that's not me. That wasn't me being pessimistic at the time. It was just
no.
Luis Mendilibar came out before the game and said that he wasn't going to play defensively. He wasn't going to put five at the back, try just soak up the pressure. He said we're going out there to play our game, and we very much did. And the entire team stepped up, and that was really, really good to see from an Olympiacos perspective. But never in my wildest dreams did I expect us to win in the manner we did. We were unbelievable for large parts of the game, and even when we let you back into it, when the goal just before half time and then the equaliser, which were both excellently taken, and maybe perhaps our goalkeeper Zorlakis should have done a little bit better at his near post. We fought back from there as well. It showed great mentality, something that we started to see under Mendilibar a bit more since he came in, but compared to what we'd witnessed, like I said, when we lost to Freiburg, when we lost to Maccabi in the first leg, in the league, when we've lost to our rivals in derbies, and we've just mentally collapsed. We didn't collapse, and it was really good to see, especially against the toughest team that we have faced in Europe so far this season.
I want to ask you about the mentality that your side will have on Thursday, but in two parts: on the pitch with the players and the coaching staff, and then the fan base. So let's start with the players. The Olympiacos players and the staff are going to back themselves to go and put in a performance. Of course they are, but I don't think many will have expected to go into the reverse fixture with a 2-goal advantage. How does that change the way that Olympiacos may play? Is this a case of now sitting in and protecting that, or still just going for it and let's go and score another 2 or 3? We did it at their place, so why can't we do it at home?
I think that the latter will be the mentality. I think Mendilibar will just want to play the game that he's been trying to get Olympiacos to play since he arrived. I don't think that's going to change. Obviously, being ahead means that perhaps he'll allow more pressure to be invited on us, so that because you guys are the ones who essentially need to score. But I don't think Mendilibar will change his tactics. We're just going to go out there to win without making any needless decisions that could, cause issues on the counter, because you guys were brilliant whenever you countered against us, especially with Leon Bailey, who caused us a multitude of issues. The players and the manager and the coaching staff have given the impression that they are ready for this, and they're kind of downplaying it for themselves, which we want to see, because we don't want them to be celebrating. We don't want them to be making the assumption, oh, that's it, it's done. Because we had that ourselves when we lost to Maccabi Tel Aviv at home 4-1. They were celebrating, they were kind of doing the party atmosphere in the away dressing room, and our players were just sitting there listening to them. And Andrea Horta came out in the press and said, we heard them. We heard what they were doing, and he essentially went to their manager, who's Robbie Keane is their manager, ironically, and Horta said to them, "It's not over," and he said, "Oh yeah, it's not real, it isn't." But then they treated it like it was over, and we took advantage of that, and because they underestimated us. So I hope that the team learned from that, and I hope that they don't go in with that same mentality Maccabi did in the second leg, because we will get beaten quite hard if they go and assuming they've already qualified.
Fingers crossed that is the case from our side of things. There were
for you guys, I guess, yeah.
There were a lot of celebrations on the pitch and stuff at the end, so hopefully the Villa side of things took notice of that and thought, come on, they haven't won anything yet. Let's go and do the job in the second leg. From the fans' perspective, again, I don't think many fans would have expected to go into the second leg with a 2-goal lead anyway. I was going to ask you about the atmosphere at your stadium in the first preview, but I thought, and again, this is where I am coming across arrogant from last week, I won't ask about the atmosphere yet, because maybe it'll be different if Villa have gone into the first leg with a lead. Will it be different? Would it be any different if you were winning or losing, or was it always just going to be this big, raucous, intimidating atmosphere regardless? It
will be a come on, let's go win this, rather than a it's okay, we're through, let's just celebrate. Certainly the fans online have shared mentality of me, like job done in the first leg, but not overall. There's no way this, if away goal ruling was still a thing, then perhaps we could maybe have a bit more precedent to sort of feel comfortable about the second leg, but that's not the case now with that rule not being in European football at all.
Thank God.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, 99% of fans I've seen online certainly have said, right, this is great, but it's not over yet. And I mean, there was one video circulating about an Olympiacos supporter he'd taken like an Aston Villa shirt, he was kind of chopping it with a knife, and he was like going to serve it like a kebab or something. And I was just like, oh God, like you're just tempting fate by doing that, mate. Honestly, no. And everyone else was like, what are you doing? Like this, like it's such a stupid thing to do. But yeah, generally, I think the home crowd would be absolutely rocking anyway, even if we were, slim leads or two, if you guys had thrashed us. I think that people would have still turned up at Gare Skaggi and still sang their hearts out until the very end. So I think us being ahead now, they'll want to be that 12th man and drive the team forward.
Just describe it to us, the atmosphere. Obviously, we've seen a lot of European grounds, all the fans bouncing and the whistles whenever the opposition are on the ball and things like that. What will the Villa fans and the Villa players kind of be walking into on Thursday night?
For us, and for me, it's one of the best atmospheres that you can see in European football. And bias, but I think that's true, and that's the case with a lot of Greek clubs, because you don't just have the Gate 7 ultras, from literally from Gate 7, which is that part of the stadium, who will be the loudest in the ground. It will be the rest of them, especially because of the context of this game. And I think for rival fans and for rival teams, it's intimidating. It will be like a baptism of fire for teams to go into. And we've seen a lot of big teams come to Olympiacos Stadium and never experienced anything like it before. Loads of players have come out and said it's the weirdest, most intimidating atmosphere they've been in. And I would say that I hope the intimidation, and a lot of fans and the ultras on social media have said this as well, the intimidation and the kind of atmosphere we create has to be purely vocal, because the issues that we've had in Greek football, I might have mentioned it in the last video about, flares, about firecrackers, about smoke bombs, whatever, that has to be tempered, because Greek football is on the precipice of, if that continues and it gets worse and it starts to cause overflow, fan violence and stuff outside the stadium, on the streets, etc., that could, in theory, lead to Greece being banned from all competitions. And that's not what we want to see, especially with the Greek game performing reasonably well the last couple of years. Domestically, the league's been quite competitive. And also in Europe, teams have started to actually reach the group stages rather than crash out in the qualifiers.
On the atmosphere and kind of going into it cold a little bit, the comparison that we made on yesterday's podcast was the Legia Warsaw game that Villa had in the group, the first game that they played in the Conference League, lost 3-2, an atmosphere that was feisty and, like you say, the flares, the tifos, all that kind of stuff. Villa were definitely caught cold by that. It was their first experience for a lot of them in Europe. Can anything that they experienced in Poland 6 months ago, or whatever it is, can they take anything from that, or will Greece on Thursday be a totally different level anyway?
I think there's a lot to take from those atmospheres, because Legia Warsaw is one of the most intimidating places you can go to. And, unfortunately, some Villa fans experienced a lot worse than just the football atmosphere when it came to Legia Warsaw fans. But I think, going back to the context of it being a semi-final and Olympiacos supporters massively being up for it now that we're ahead, that will make it even more, I think, intense for the players going into it. But so they'll certainly have experienced something like similar this season, but maybe with the context of what happened in the first leg maybe more intense than anything they've experienced before.
Without an actual score prediction, then we'll save that to the very, very end. How do you see this unfolding?
I certainly expect Villa to come out the blocks flying, and I think they'll have the first good load of opportunities. Whoever scores first or not it just really depends on who blinks first. I think for me, because it's so much closer than people make out to be. Because a lot of people have said to me, who are Villa fans, "Oh, the tie's over, that's it." And I'm like, no, it's not. It's really not. That it may feel over now, but trust me, Villa could so easily score 2 in the first half, and it'd be all tied up. And especially with key players like Emi Martinez coming back, he'll be massive, especially if it goes to penalties for whatever reason. That's going to be. I pray that we don't go to penalties at the very least, because it's going to be tough to beat one of the best goalkeepers at penalty shootouts in the world at the moment. I think if the atmosphere is right, and Olympiacos fans are the 12th man, I could very well see Olympiacos potentially going ahead, in all honesty, and that could kill the tie off. If that does happen. Look, I wouldn't be shocked if either team go ahead to begin with.
Yeah, I think depending on when you went ahead, if it's 0-0 at half time and then you score 50, 60 minutes, I think, it's very, very difficult for us to turn this around in half an hour. If you score in the first 5 minutes, that would be a massive blow. But I think, we still got a lot of time to get it back to a 2-goal deficit again, and then you kind of go again from there. If we get the first goal in the first half, I would back us to have the momentum and think, okay, come on, we can do this. It's 1 goal in it. My concern is that you will definitely score, so we have to score at least 3 just to get it to extra time. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet even with Martinez, and I don't believe in jinx and all that kind of stuff. But I hope I am doing that we do now keep a clean sheet. Now I've said that we won't, but I think you do definitely score. So we have to score 3. I know we spoke last time about your defence does leak goals, so that is possible. And if it gets to a stage where it's 1-1 or 2-1 Villa, I think, we can get the 3rd here because the momentum will be with us. But it's a massive ask, and it feels like a big thing for Villa to overcome. And if they do, obviously it'll be amazing. It'll be one of the best comebacks that fans of my age will remember at least. But I say all that, and I feel like I'm talking about a game that's like a 4-0. I don't know why it is. It feels worse than it is. If you were 2-0 down at half time, you wouldn't think, this game's over with 45 minutes to go. And that's the situation we're in now, but with 90 to play. So it's not, you know what I mean? It almost doesn't feel as bad as it is. But the way I think about it, it's like, massive task this for Villa to get back into it, the atmosphere, I don't know why it is. Maybe it's because it's a semi-final and there's something riding on it. But ordinarily, for Villa to overcome a 2-goal swing, it's not impossible.
And I guess that's the complete opposite for Olympiacos supporters, because we're on the side of, we're 2-0 up, essentially. So we're technically in a comfortable position. I know there's that myth of
2-0 is a dangerous
scoreline. Yeah. But at the same time, we can't be comfortable because we conceded 2 goals, quite easily. And it wasn't if it wasn't for a massive fight back from our team, it could have very well ended in defeat. Like I said, nothing is guaranteed in this circumstance. Even if we were 4-0 up, I don't think that would have been guaranteed anyway, because that's football. Nothing is 100% set in stone.
Yeah. Okay, then let's have a score prediction. I assume you're going with an Olympiacos win.
Yes, I will quietly, confidently say 2-1 to Olympiacos.
I think in the video that we did yesterday, what did I say? I actually didn't give a score prediction. I've just realised. I think John said 3-1, taking it to penalties and then win on penalties. I didn't give a score prediction, but mine was kind of like, I want to be involved in one of those games that you see like the timing of the goals like 120 plus 3 or whatever. Like it's that kind of game. So I'll have Villa to progress to the final. How it happens, none of us care. Whether it's full time, extra time, or penalties, as long as Villa get through, that would be unbelievable. Then we've obviously got the possibilities of qualifying for the Champions League only a few days later as well. So this is a massive kind of 5 or 6 day period for Villa. And we can go a long way to helping the rest of our season whilst it's only 2 games left by progressing on Thursday night.
We have a massive 10 days coming up, because not only do we have the chance of progressing to the first final in our history and the first final that any senior men's team in the Greek football has got to since 1971, we now have 3 games where if we win all 3 games in the league, we win the title. And those games are against, we play BALK away in Thessaloniki, and then we play Panathinaikos, we play AEK, who are the reigning champions, at home, and then we go away to Panathinaikos, our bitter rivals, and we have to win all those 3 games. If we lose one game or don't win one of those games, I think that's our title hopes over. So we could go from potentially winning the first like double, like a continental double any Greek team's ever achieved, or we could win nothing and maybe even not get Europe if we finish fourth and Aris, who are in fifth right now, win the Greek Cup, because that will get them Europe, and then fourth place doesn't become a European spot. So anything we could have everything and nothing by the end of the season.
I'll tell you what, Stephen, forget Thursday night. Just focus on the league. Focus on winning that title, win the 3. Doesn't matter about Thursday night. Trust me, it's just the Conference League. Who cares? No, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you twice on the channel. And from the first leg, I know a lot of people appreciated your insight into the opposition. Obviously, we've seen how you play now, so it's all about what kind of atmosphere we're expecting Thursday night. Hopefully, it falls on the right side for Villa fans. I'm not going to wish you luck this time because that didn't go well last time. Hopefully, it's a horrible evening for your lot. And a good one for Villas. Thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you for the post-match show on Thursday night. Come on, Villa.